Welcome. My name is Rob Claus, and I am on the education team for the Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association. We are the only association who is solely responsible for the support and growth of the commercial inspection industry. As far as me, I've been a professional inspector for over 35 years. We're going to begin talking about our standard of practice. It's called the ComSOP, or Commercial Standards of Practice. It was developed years ago by InterNACHI, but the Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association, CCPA, adopted it, and it's now become the standard for the commercial inspection industry. While there are other publications out there that tout their provenance, it's the ComSOP that is the only true standards of practice that is out there. Now, as you're thinking about this, we'll talk a little bit about, over the years, thinking about what becomes a commercial property inspection. And I've spent hours and hours researching this through industry organizations, institutions, and licensing bodies. And my goal was to determine and define what a true commercial property was. Well, most of the time, there's really nothing out there. Really, certainly not a good one, but don't fear. The CCPA has created a great definition to use for a commercial property. And that's a commercial property is defined as a building, structures, or improvements located on a parcel of commercial real estate. These can include structures such as buildings with residential units operated for profit, mixed-use buildings, strip malls, motels, factories, storage facilities, restaurants, and office buildings. The key term that I want to consider using is residential units operated for profit. So a commercial building is any building being used for profit. Interesting, isn't it? Well, so what we're thinking about here very succinctly is what is pertaining to TREC. Now, when we think about our commercial ComSOP and the purpose of this, we're actually thinking about what is the scope. Since we are coming to TRPIA convention, let's talk about Texas and TREC specifically. TREC doesn't clearly define what a commercial inspection is, or doesn't. In fact, when I talk about the exhaustive research I did with all the states, and there's 38 different states that have licensure, they don't clearly define it, they really do a good job defining what a home inspection is. So, if you have any deductive reasoning and can understand that what is a home inspection, then I can only surmise what is not a home inspection must be commercial. So when I specifically look at TREC 535.277 subpart A scope, number one is the standards of practice applied to the professional inspector for real estate or real estate inspector who is licensed under this chapter accepts employment to perform a real estate inspection for prospective buyer or seller of a real property. So if you're a buyer or seller doing real property, a transaction, then it's a home inspection. These standards of practice are defined as a minimum requirement for all real estate inspection conducted on a 1 to 4 family unit that is substantially completed. Now, substantially completed means the stage of construction when a building or addition, improvement, or alteration of the existing building can be occupied for its use. So again, a building that is 1 to 4 family units. That is what TREC is defining as our residential inspection. So therefore, if I'm in any building that's non-residential, any building that is greater than 4 units, it therefore must be commercial, which is not part of something that TREC and the TREC license monitors. So what I'm saying is, if it's not a home, it's commercial. The building on the left is a simple duplex, one with 2 units dwelling under the same roof. This is a residential property according to TREC. The building on the right is a 6-unit building. There are 6 different dwelling units under the same roof or located at the same address. That is not a home inspection or residential property. It's a commercial property. So let's look back at that definition that we did with the CCPIA. It's a building being operated for profit. It is a commercial building. There's a lot of differences in this introduction to commercial inspections I want to talk about between residential and commercial inspections. These include different levels of buyers and sellers. First of all, most of our buyers are intelligent. They're business owners. They're not residential homeowners that don't understand the process or don't understand their home. They have the proper expectations. A business owner knows you're a contractor. Business owner knows that you are fallible. A business owner knows that if you contracted to provide a service, you do this service, there's no expectations that you're going to have any warranty. You don't get called back for leaky faucets and drippy drains because our clients don't live in the home. Our clients don't raise their children there. This is a business transaction. If you're a home inspector and you're sitting there on a Sunday night with your family getting a phone call at 9 o'clock, oh my goodness, can you do an inspection at 8 in the morning on Monday? That doesn't happen in commercial. There's a much longer due diligence period, 30, 60, 90 plus days. So our clients are typically not rushed and they're typically not in a hurry. You have time to breathe and relax and take a call and return that call and not worry that somebody beat you to it in 5 minutes. There's a lot less competition. Typically, for every 10 to 20 residential inspectors, there's only one certified or trained commercial inspector. So if you're in a marketplace across the country or in this huge state that you're living in of Texas, and there's a lot of inspectors in your market, well, consider diversification, adding commercial to your repertoire, and that could lessen that entry level or lessen that competition level. How many times have you seen a realtor come to you? Well, hey, are you going to do anything for these people? Or that realtor is the Instagram realtor where they're constantly taking photos and just sold. And the real estate professionals and commercial are not as transactional. It's a business for them as well. Yes, it's relationship, but they're far more experienced. They have a lot more years under their belt or diversified portfolios under their belt than the standard residential home. And so with that, there's a higher level there of professionalism and expectations. And plus, there are so many more opportunities in commercial that go beyond just the transaction. Between fire door inspections and life safety inspections and accessibility inspections and sewer scope inspections, there are so many opportunities for you to be an inspector and not worry just about the transaction. It eliminates those peaks and valleys. So once again, now that we have a clear understanding of the differences between residential and commercial, do you have to be licensed in Texas to perform commercial inspections? No. Remember that definition and how TREC defines residential inspections. Excuse me. The building that we looked at between the 2 and the 4 units, as well as what we've talked about, by adding that 5th unit makes it a commercial inspection, which is definitely outside of the TREC license. Think about that. What if you're an inspector and you want to start bringing help along to your commercial inspections? Now, I would certainly have a license just because it's a credentialing, but I don't have to have licensed people helping me because it's a commercial property. And that's going to allow you to expand your business. You may also start getting older and want to suspend your license and only do just commercial. This allows you to do that. Possibilities really are endless. Now, after all I've said, you got to consider moving forward. And how do you move forward? Well, I can promise you this. You can move forward by looking at other opportunities, and those other opportunities can be eye-opening. And they can make it, and in fact, I can promise you this, if you come to one of our trainings, I can make you a better home inspector just by becoming a better commercial inspector. It's interesting. Now, as part of your transition between residential and commercial, you could also consider looking at your branding. And when you look at your branding, your commercial client is not necessarily looking for a home inspector to do their commercial building. So you really got to start thinking about who you are, how you are, and what you portray. So when I look at the logo of branding on the left, while it's an attractive logo, it has home inspections very prominent under the arch. And so if I was a client searching for a commercial property inspector and instantly see home inspections, I'm probably not going to be as comfortable with them as I would be with maybe the logo on the right. Titan, which is a very upward, a very progressive style name, portrays confidence, but it says property inspections, which is very good because it's a very generic, I do it all type of name. I could also consider Above and Beyond because these two brands, I mean, this brand here has residential and commercial very clear. And being very clear with saying I do residential and commercial, it just tells the world that I'm doing both. Now we also have the brand on the right, which says I do commercial. It says it right under the logo, commercial property inspections. And in fact, we've gone so far as to say I'm CCPIA certified. As part of your membership with the Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association, you do have the opportunity to rely on logo and brand marketing support. And so we do offer those services through our alliance with InterNACHI so that you can rebrand or recapture a different level of business. Speaking of business, as we start thinking about our business models, we got to start thinking about insurance. Insurance plays an important role in any business, but especially commercial. As a home inspector, have you ever received a call from a client? And during that call, I mean, maybe it's the initial call, they've immediately asked, I need a copy of your insurance. Well, I can tell you as a previous residential inspector, that made my antennas pop. Immediately I would think, oh my, this client's out to get me. This has put me on guard. I start to think about, well, they're going to put a lawsuit together no matter what I say. I start thinking about how I've got to write everything in a certain way because there might be semi-litigious. I don't know. But in commercial, it's completely different. If you're being asked for insurance, It's because they or this buyer or the seller or somebody needs to be protected from your injury or harm on the site. And it is a normal practice for me to provide my insurance to them. And in fact, there are some that require me to also insure them on my policy. And all I have to do is make a quick phone call to my carrier and they produce it. But one of the things you got to think about is, does your current insurance cover you for this new commercial endeavor? Because see, not all commercial policies are the same. Well, your carrier might say you can do commercial. Can you? Read your policy. Some carriers don't allow you to do restaurants. Some don't allow you to do daycares or medical. Some size matters. Some limits you on a specific size. Not all insurance is created equal. So if you're going to go down the path of doing commercial inspections, look to your insurance. Make sure it's going to cover you for what you need. Now, one of the things we've created as we've gone through this process of, of building out a training program is giving you a roadmap to success. The commercial inspection is much, much different than residential. Really, truly different. In residential, your clients need an immediate response when they call you. So if you've ever been in an attic or a crawl space and got a phone call, if you don't take that call, that phone call has gone to the next inspector on their list, because our residential clients have a limited time frame and they just want to get it done. And in fact, for some of us, we probably experienced the fact that our inspections are just commodities. There's no flair or difference between one inspector and another in our eyes of our clients, because they just need it done. But as I said, in commercial, they have a longer period of time. That longer period of time allows that client to seek the right commercial inspector. But on top of that, it allows you to create a good, intelligent plan for your inspection. So commercial inspectors are not quoting with their arm hanging out the window of their truck. They're taking their time. They're thoroughly researching the building. They're making sure they understand the scope, the opportunities, and their clients' needs. Each inspection you perform on commercial is a one-off endeavor. Residential, everything's the same, but in commercial, they're specifically tailored to our clients' needs. So with that, our needs start with pricing. Pricing is probably the most common question we receive as an association. We get dozens of calls a week from members wanting to know what they should charge for an inspection. I typically answer the same way: whatever you feel is fair and appropriate. Now, that being said, there are 4 basic methods or tools an inspector can use to help develop and refine your fee approach. It all has to start with understanding your cost to do business. So as a business professional, if you don't know what your costs are to operate your business, do you really know what you're doing as far as your profit margins and things go with your business? You're probably running something closer to a lemonade stand and not an inspection business. And it's important that you understand everything, because what I say about fees is they're historically higher in relation to residential fees, and there's a lot less competition. So you're not likely to come up against somebody that's drastically undercutting you to do your inspection. This is an elevated sector of the business. So when I think about pricing, we'll talk about models like flat fee, which is a great one fee fits all for smaller projects or projects that might only take a portion of your day. We could have super, super large projects that you might charge a percentage of the sale. I mean, I'm thinking about projects that could last months. I've done shopping centers with hundreds of thousands of square foot that has taken me 6, 8 months to complete with multiple specialty consultants helping me. I can think of square foot, which is clean and easy. It's 5,000 square foot. I charge this much per foot. Pop. I can do that for this. It's easy. It's clean. And sometimes I will even get inspectors, and we talk about this in our classes, that have an hourly square foot where I can create a square foot inspection per hour and actually come up with a timetable of how long it takes me to do an inspection. It's a really effective method for performing commercial inspections. The other thing to consider is we're dealing with a higher level client. With the higher level client, we're also dealing with proposals. Since every inspection you perform is unique and every inspection is built based on that all important client interview, then the proposal is that memorial of the interview. It's documenting clearly what you're going to do and what is going to be inspected for your client. It's a lot different than the agreement. The agreement protects you. The proposal sets the stage. It will not only change job to job, but might even change between each different inspection that you do. We provide our members with examples and templates for you to use. Whoops. So remember, the most important elements of a commercial property inspection is to charge appropriately for your services. Your clients are expecting to pay for your quality. So again, this is a little higher level of inspection and a little higher level of fee grade. Now, this was only a brief introduction to commercial inspections. Commercial inspectors can use many of the same skills and muscles you already have through your training and support from InterNACHI and your residential. But we're going to train different muscles and different skills. At the Certified Commercial Property Inspectors Association will help you build those skills and develop new ones necessary to be successful. If you want to know more about commercial property inspections, I'm going to be presenting a session in Dallas at the Tropea Convention on October 17th at 8 o'clock in the morning. During this session, I'm going to explain to you everything we just talked about plus more and help you achieve better clarity and what it takes to become a commercial property inspector. I want to thank you for taking some time to watch this webinar. And on behalf of the entire team at the CCPA, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Dallas at the Tropea Convention. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to us through our website at ccpia.org.